Tonight is Wednesday, September the 4th, 2013. This is Management 3025. This is our every other week meeting. And that's so I will know what I'm looking at on the video when I go home and get ready to post it. What are your issues, questions, concerns, comments? Anybody, anything?
I ain't got an issue, but I know one thing about answering no questions, making sure we really read the book, because they're not in order, you gotta definitely read the chapters.
Oh, I definitely put them not in order. And you're right. Some of them, the answer isn't just right there, yes or no. Some of them you got to interpret. And remember that on the midterm and again on the final, you're going to have, give or take, 40, 45 multiple choice questions. And we're going to pick somewhere between 3 and 10 or 12 of them and say, hey, explain that. Or this was used in one of the answers. What does that mean? And it might not even be the right answer, but it's a phrase or some vocabulary you should have been familiar with. So you've got to know all of those questions in pretty good depth, not simply memorize answers. Okay? Now I know there's a group of 20 some odd of y'all that are getting together and working on this in a group effort. If you are interested in that, if you are involved in that, chat with some of your classmates after class and see what's going on there. I'm not sure how all of that's working. I don't really want to be privy to all of it, but I do admire the fact that there's a bunch of y'all colluding together, using your resources to get this thing done the most efficient way possible. All right? What else? Other comments? Yes, ma'am.
Is there a specific SWOT video that you wanted us to look at?
Did you not post about 3 of those in email today?
I sent you one, and then I shared some links that I had run into, one
Okay.
in England and 2 here.
Right. I wrote back, I think it probably went straight to you. You put 3 of them up there, which I think is great. If you go, I don't care what you want to know how to do, go to YouTube. Somebody's made a YouTube video on how to do it.
Yes, sir.
Okay? So, Robin had posted one that was a fellow in England.
That was to you privately.
Okay. Just to give you the tenor, though, he's talking about a SWOT analysis for marketing a product. Very interesting. Fairly negative, because so many SWOT analyses, the terms, the stuff that comes across is just so bland and meaningless, as he calls it, vapid. And the good point out of that video was your comments on the SWOT analysis. When you're listing your strengths, I'm a nice guy. Who cares? That's not a strength. A strength is what can you do and how do you translate that into a benefit for yourself or somebody else. Okay? When you look at your strengths, look at your entire life. What have you done? When have you had moments of phenomenal success or great triumph? Did you learn something and acquire some skill or ability or strength out of that? And that includes traumatic times, times of great stress, as well as times of success. Sometimes they're both. Now you posted another one that, I've forgotten the second one. The third one you posted was by a young lady who was very much more, I think, in line with what we're looking for. She was still talking about more of a company as opposed to a person. But she made a very important point in this SWOT analysis. Let's just get a little bit of it on board. Most of the time when people talk SWOT analysis, they build a matrix. Strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. That's the first part, kind of what I'm asking you to do right now for this SWOT competency. And it's a listing. What are your strengths? You want to be fairly concrete and specific. Okay? What kind of strengths do you have? Some of them will be interpersonal, and they will be exhibited by experiences that you've had. I was on the debate team in high school, and I was very successful. Is that a strength? Oh, hell yes. It means you can think logically, organize your thoughts, and think on your feet. Good. You want to list those, and you want to again, go back as far into your history as you need to. Same thing. What are your weaknesses? What are the places you're having some issues or problems? And if you're having trouble thinking about this, think in terms of this. What would the perfect ideal you look like? What would be your strengths? And if you don't have them, they're a weakness. And if you do have them, they're a strength. What's the perfect you, the ideal you? And all of these strengths and weaknesses then are basically a look at yourself internally. Then we turn to the external environment and say, you know, looking outside of yourself and seeing what's going on, what kind of opportunities are out there or could be discovered? For example, what kind of opportunities await you upon completion of this degree? And we can have a pretty good discussion in here about that. We had one last term about, you know, what is the value of the BAS degree? Can I go to graduate school with it? Is it an acceptable bachelor's degree with all employers? The answer to my knowledge on both of those is absolutely yes.
The bachelor's is becoming like a high school diploma now.
It
Some
is,
companies-
but while it's becoming more commonplace, it is certainly becoming the necessary ingredient even to make application. Okay? What other kind of opportunities might come to mind if you're constructing this about an individual, not necessarily yourself?
Internships?
Good. Do you have contacts or have the ability to create an internship or at least a relationship that could lead to an internship? The vice president of our student organization, Austin Browning, sent me a draft letter he had written to both GRU and to the city, requesting the opportunity to come in and speak to the city manager and the GRU manager, saying, I am in this program and I'm looking for the opportunity to work on an internship, and laid it out. One of the nicest letters I've ever seen any of our students write. It was really good. So he's working towards, how do I create this internship opportunity? And the internship ideally comes from a relationship. You're not just somebody coming in strange off the street. You meet, you talk to a few people, you find somebody you kind of have a rapport with, and you talk about what's going on in their operation and what could you do to help out. Do you have a particular issue going on or something you're interested in you would like me to spend some more time on? I'm free help, because my goal is to discover what's going on or a situation or a problem you're having, an area you have an interest in, to research it and develop answers or solutions and then to present them to you. That's an internship. And a lot of people are going to wait until the very last term before they graduate and say, oh, I got to go find an internship. What's the word for that? Stupid. Stupid. Okay? So yeah, there are a lot of things you can be doing. Other opportunities?
Networking.
What is an opportunity for networking? How does that occur? Or how do you create it?
By being engaged with the other fellow students, with your peers.
Absolutely, I would think you'd want to know at least 15 or 20 students in this program and know a little bit about their background, what they do, where they came from, where they're going, and be able to call them up first name basis anytime you want to and say, you got any ideas on this, or I'm having trouble with that. Students, fellow students, absolutely. How about beyond that? Anybody here ever heard of Amway?
Yeah.
Amway is a direct distribution sales outfit. They sell all kind of products. But they go in and they recruit people one at a time and say, how'd you like to work in Amway and make a fortune? And they sell you forever on how to make a fortune. And if you say, I'd like to do that, the first thing they tell you to do is sit down and write down the name of every person you know.
Yes, sir.
And that should be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 900 people. Write them all down, because then we're going to call them. Translation, you're going to call them. Well, is networking something like that? Can you not make up as comprehensive a list as possible of everybody you know? And then for each one of them, and you prioritize them, most likely to succeed, etc. How do you approach them? How do you get in contact with them? A lot of people say, God, I got people that I knew 5 years ago, but my boss 5 years ago, super guy, but we kind of fell out of touch. So, what are you going to do about it? Okay? So, opportunities. Opportunities for foreign travel, opportunities to pick up a second language, opportunities to get a pilot's license, to jump out of an airplane if you're truly insane. Okay? Whatever. But, threats. What are some of the threats that are lurking out there that could, knock you over, knock you off your path? One of the threats is, well, I signed up for 4 courses, I'm working full time, and I just took a part-time job at the convenience store because money's tight, and I got 5 kids and actually 2 wives. Well, you've got some threats there, buddy, right?
And some mental issues.
I'm sorry?
And some mental issues.
And some mental issues. Well, welcome to America. Ben?
I think one of the big threats that I see a lot of people failing in is, we were talking about networking opportunities, are these networking groups that, what was it you said, that they're 5 miles wide and 2 inches deep?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those are many times a waste of time.
Absolutely.
You bet. But if you're going to go to anything, in fact, it's a natural thing. Haven't we talked about your elevator speech? Or have we not?
Not yet.
What's your elevator speech?
What you would say in the first 30 seconds, or a pitch that you would say to like a employer or somebody that you would like to meet or talk about what you have to offer, basically.
In a sense, imagine you got in the elevator with Bill Gates, and you wanted to be able to chance to come back and talk to him later, so you wanted him to remember you. You got 30 seconds, what would you say? Because in 30 seconds, the elevator's the bottom floor. We all need to have that. We need to have something interesting, enlightening, entertaining about ourselves to say. So maybe we'll try that as we go along. What's your elevator speech? You're going to get a chance to show us that on your videos. You got 2 videos to do for this class. We have an excellent chance, you know. Take the first 30 seconds and give me your elevator speech. Maybe we'll just change the requirement for that on the video, for the second video. You watched mine?
Yeah, what?
You want to hear mine? I'm not giving away any secrets.
Oh, you ain't gonna tell us?
Will you give it to us after the assignment?
Sure. Sure.
We wanted it before.
We just-
Remember, your elevator speech is going to be customized to whoever you're talking to. So I don't have a stock, pull the string,
Yeah.
here it goes elevator speech. I'm going to size up whoever I'm talking to. And personally, for me, I'm not using the 30-second speech anymore. I'm a little bit old for it. I'm using the 12-second question. You know, hi, I'm Roger Strickland. I teach out at Santa Fe College. What's your name? Where do you work? Really? How long have you been there? Wow. Where'd you go to school? What am I doing?
Getting them to talk.
Here's, like,
I'm getting control of the conversation, and I'm getting them to talk about themselves.
I'm gonna throw in a couple real quick points.
You bet.
Like about the elevator speech, let's connect it to the SWOT. Really, in each of these instances, you should have a different elevator speech. As you think about your opportunities and threats, as you think about your strengths and weaknesses, there's a different way you pitch each one of those things. As you go through this analysis, if you will, I can tell you from experience and from dealing with folks, this is going to be your toughest piece. Because we don't really want to know what those are. But that's going to be your toughest thing, and probably this one is second because you don't see them. They're everywhere. There are all kinds of opportunities. But we focus on this track that we have in mind, or that's our parents told us that we should follow, and those kinds of things. And so there are all kinds of opportunities that we don't see. As an example here, I hear people say, I work really well under pressure, and that's a strength. Maybe the flip side of that is I have a hard time meeting deadlines. You know, so you gotta think about how all of those things play, and you can connect that elevator speech, if you will, to that SWOT analysis.
When I hear that phrase, I work well under pressure, my first thought is, and you don't work at all without it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good point. Good job interview question, you know. What's your greatest weakness?
I'm really detail-oriented to a fault.
I'm sorry?
I'm really detail-oriented to a fault.
Okay, that's a whole lot better than most of them. Yes, ma'am.
What's an example of a weakness you would like not want to use?
I'm sorry.
What's an example of a weakness you wouldn't want to use?
A weakness you wouldn't want to use? Personally, for me, I would think one of the things would be, you don't want to start telling tales on yourself. Well, I have a bit of a health problem, you know. Well, I have a real problem getting up in the morning. Right?
Yeah.
Those kind of things.
Okay,
Or get into your
like bad
family
habits.
issues and
Yeah,
those
for
kinds
goodness
of
sake.
things.
No, don't want to hear about how you're still having a fight with your ex and
Yeah.
for custody of the kid. And it's kind of distracting. Yeah, I bet it's distracting. Let it distract you elsewhere. Okay? Good question. So, elevator speeches, SWOT analyses. What you're going to do, not on this first competency. The first competency says, what are these? Be very complete. You can also be rather artistic in the way you present them. It's going to be a written document. So maybe you can use a little visual, graphic design, a little, you know, some of the tools even on Microsoft Word, pie charts, or whatever else, and design this into something that, one of the things you want to do with all your documents is make them easy for the reader to assimilate, to comprehend very quickly. So you can be creative that way. Once you've done this with competency 1, which includes 2 other things, what else is on competency 1?
Your personal value statement.
Your personal value statement
Your video.
and an introductory video. Who are you and why are you in this program? Okay? Once you've done that on competency 1, down there about competency 3 or something is another requirement that you take this to the next step, which says, here's all your strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats. And this is what the young lady did on that video. Now, take all of that and translate it over into, what are your goals? Or, as I say, these are all your SWOT stuff, so what? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with what you got? That's the next step to come after this.